Look how easy that is. That is just... And it flies off across the room. How about that? All right, just a little update on the Volkswagen. This is what we've got going on now. I've got all my brake line parts. So I've already put the long rear brake line in place. I've got it clamped into the little hold down brackets here. These are pre-formed, pre-fitted hard lines and a short flexible portion as well. It may not fit exactly like the OEM line, so you might have to tweak it a little bit, bend it a little bit to get it to fit in place, but it's not that hard. It's pretty easy, really. I've got it dangling there. I don't have it connected just yet. It goes right there, clearly. I'm also going to change out this little small hose right here. You can get this kit from FCP Euro, and it has these rear brake lines, left and right side, and it also has brake lines for the front as well. I figured, you know what, might as well. Car's got 250,000 miles on it. You get your little micro cracks here, just avoid a disaster later on. Just change them out. It's an old car, so. All right, so that's what I'm going to do next. This is an 11 millimeter, by the way, so just take that off, and you have a clip right here. You just slide that back, slide that one back, and put the new line in place, and you tighten it here and tighten it there, and you'll be all done. All right, we got the new little short flex line on there. These little spring-loaded clips. You notice how this ledge is pointed back this way, right? Well, it's hard to get a hammer, block that light, it's hard to get a hammer or something in there to tap that way. So really the key is just take your hammer or screwdriver or something and pivot this spring-loaded clip around this way so that you can get and tap, position this part back here close to the rail so you can get a screwdriver on it from this angle and tap on it, and you can tap it right off of there. Now the calipers these are rebuilt calipers. They came with copper crush washers. The brake line itself came with its own bolt and aluminum crush washers. I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'll use the copper. You take your pick, and I'll just take the aluminum crush washers and put them in my my stash for, in case I need one later on. So. And this is, by the way, a 13 millimeter here on the brake caliper. And, you have these nice little crush washers, and you do not need to give this a whole lot of force. Just a little snug there. That's all you need, man. And the same goes for these pressure fittings back here on these other lines. They don't need a whole lot of force. Compression fittings are a beautiful thing. All right, so this one is done. And I'm going to go ahead and go do the other two lines on the passenger side. All right, so the passenger side is a little bit different. This rear line kind of snakes under there like that. Comes out under there. I've already loosened it, and the other flex line reattaches up there. It's in a little cubby hole. It's a little hard to get to. You should be able to get in there with a little stubby wrench, maybe. Yeah, that works. Oh man, this is going to be a snap. I'll see you in about 2 hours. All right, it's time to change our approach. I grabbed one of my old cheap screwdrivers I've had for many years and decided to repurpose it into a specialty pry bar, thanks to heating with the Victor cutting torch. So take a look at this up next. Yeah. That's way easier than trying to tap on it with a hammer. All right, we're going to try our newfangled pry bar on this spring clip here on the front brake hose. And we're going to insert the tip behind this lip, and we're going to pry against pressure fitting lightly. I don't want to damage the pressure fitting. I just want to see how well this works in a prying fashion without just, you could pull it like that, and that'll work fine. But I wondered if we could be a little more clever and just pry a little bit like that. Look how easy that is. That is just, and it flies off across the room. How about that? Next, we're going to replace the valve cover gasket. I've already loosened all of the bolts around the valve cover, and including a couple of clips that you need to loosen. There's one right there. It's on this timing chain cover, and there's one on the back right down there. You just slip a screwdriver in there and pry it up, no big deal. This is the EGR valve. It's very hard to remove if your car has a lot of miles on it. Had 3 Allen head screws on it, one here, and one underneath there. And I just got through yanking on this thing and pounding on it and prying on it. And this is what it looks like. That is really nasty. One inclination might be to install an EGR delete, but this car has already been out of commission for 3 weeks while I rebuilt the front end, and I'm ready to get it back on the road. So I think what I'm going to do is just clean this up and reinstall it so we can drive our Volkswagen again. So up next, I'm going to get that valve cover off there and replace that gasket. All right, so this should be fairly straightforward now that we have everything out of the way. Hey, look at that. Easy peasy once you get all the stuff out of the way. And there's the underside. I don't see any debris. All right, let's clean this thing up and replace the gasket. All right, I think we discovered our source of our oil down the back of the engine. You can see here where the gasket mating surface reaches the head. Clearly, well, if it was sealing properly, you would see clean metal, but you don't. You see oil. So clearly, it was leaking quite badly for quite some time. So we're going to fix that. So let me clean up the top of this head and then put that new gasket on the cover and then reinstall the cover. All right, not a huge deal. To get the old gasket out, just pry this up a little bit. And once you get a little space in there, you can just kind of just pull it out. Now these bolts have a wide flange and they slip up inside these holes, so they are actually held in place by the rubber gasket itself. I have seen some people elect to replace the bolts because the bolts have a rubber sealing surface right here, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to let the gasket do its job. If that fails and it leaks anyway, I'll replace the bolts. But I'm not going to do it right now because I didn't buy any, and it's a risk item, and I'm willing to take the risk, so there you are. This is about the tightest fitting, most rigidly formed gasket I've ever changed on an engine, and obviously I've never done one on a Volkswagen before, to be perfectly honest. But we're all done now. We got the gasket in place and we're ready to go. So the old internet found this on the forums.tdiclub.com. We have a torque setting for the bolts of 7 foot-pounds or 10 newton meters, and there, right there before your very eyes, is the torque sequencing. So you can pause the video right there and take a look at that at your leisure. Let's move on and put our valve cover back on the car. All right, we're all buttoned up. Got the valve cover back on with the new gasket. We've got the EGR reinstalled. Had to pull the EGR out to get the valve cover off, and we used some brake clean and screwdriver and a wire brush to clean up the EGR and get all the carbon off of it. Also wiped out the intake manifold, get a little excessive carbon out of there. I mean, there's still some down in there, but it's kind of gooped around the wall of the intake. So, you know, at some point in the future, I may take the intake off and give it a really good cleaning, and I may even do a EGR delete, but not right now. I'm ready to get this car back on the road. So I've got the turbo hose back on. Got my fuel lines tightened up. We're looking good. I already got the oil drain, so let me get this oil filter housing loose and get the filter out of there. Good quality tools are worth their weight in gold around my shop. So, all right, let's get our filter out of there and take a look at it. And we're going to go with a Wix. They make pretty good stuff as far as I'm concerned. That's what we do with all our leftover paper from ordering parts. Nice. Disconnected filter. That's what I like to see. Got to replace all of our old O-rings. Ow. Let's see if we can stab ourselves again and go for twosies. I can hardly see what I'm doing. Why is diesel oil so black? There we go, finally. All right, where's our pack of O-rings? That's right, this one's only got 2 O-rings. The Mercedes has 3, the W210 that is. All right, we're going to go with a Wix filter. And this one is made in Poland. Interesting. All right, let's get this back in the car. All right, we're all done, and the only thing left to do is get some tires on this little Volkswagen. So let's fire this thing up and go for a little test drive. All right. We do have a check engine light. I think that's, as I recall, that's been on for a little while. I can't recall what that was for. It might be related to the EGR. I'm not really sure. It doesn't really appear to be causing any problems, however, but the old girl fired right up, and we're going to take this thing out, and we're going to head over to the car wash. All right. We're running well. We're driving smooth. No more side-to-side wobbles from the worn-out axle shafts. The steering is very precise. The suspension is holding up nicely. The brakes are working wonderfully. I think we're back in business. Only thing left to do now is have a wash and put some new tires on this car. All right, here we are at the tire shop. We're going to go with Cooper tires. 95. Let's see, we're going to go with Cooper tires, 195, 65, R15. This is a CS5 Ultra Touring. Got a little VW here at the local tire shop. Getting in the air, I'm going to get some new tires and an alignment. All right, they're underway. I'm not going to get in there and get in the guy's hair or anything. I'm going to stay out of their way. But got all the wheels off, and we're getting some tires on. There's 2 of our tires there. He's getting the other 2 on right now. Should ride pretty nice when we're all done. All right, we're all finished up at the tire shop, driving really nicely. Very, very smooth indeed. Got ourselves a nice set of made in the USA Cooper tires. All right, folks, that's all for now. Appreciate you guys stopping by the channel. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. If you'd like to be notified whenever I release a new video, don't forget to click that little bell down below. You guys have a great one, and remember, enjoy driving your Volkswagen on a beautiful day. Take it easy.